the transducer I built, the voltage I was getting when I got the reaction was only about 400 watts. I measured it. It rose rapidly to 7,000, but basically it was 400 and stuff. And it was actually, it was not have a high enough potential to ionize the gas. It's atmospheric pressure, so even at 7,000 watts, it isn't enough to ionize the gas. But it works on the displacement current. It's called virtual current, displacement current, and you don't need an actual current. You don't need real current, and it's like in a capacitor. You have a virtual current, or you don't have an electron stream, but you get polarization in the dielectric, which alters, and that is actually a current. It's called displacement current. It's Maxwell's discovery, you know. And Maxwell's contribution was the displacement current, and in that was important. But the gas is not ionized, the displacement current flows, and that allows the circulating current to flow. It's the same sort of thing. It's not quite the same, but it's a similar thing. And that's enough to ionize the gas and start the reaction. To compress and heat the gas. So once it starts, it very rapidly builds up to 7,000 volts. And the gas, well, I think the gas does become ionized at that stage, but I can't see it because it's enclosed. You mustn't look at this ultraviolet light, very bad look at it. And the overvoltage limiter, which is a spark gap, which is normal to have a spark gap. You can buy them, you know, the lightning conductors, spark gap, same thing. The lightning arresters in radios, same thing. And you can buy them for the right voltage, so you can get one just to put in there. And they reset. I don't know what the gas is, it's probably nitrogen or something. But that's really, then they're very precise in those things because they do them properly. This is just 2 bits of wire and a tube with air around it. Of course, it depends on who is doing stuff. But and the air pressure, but it's, I can't remember what it is now, but it's about 2 or 3 centimeters for 7,000 watts. I can't remember exactly. I think it was 2 centimeters for 7,000 watts. I wrote it out once. So much of a meter, the breakdown strength of air. It does vary. It's whether it's a sharp point, or a ball in the point, or a flat plate in the point. So it's very quite complicated. Or 2 balls. So there's various values, and there's a difference. And with a sharp point, it can be quite low value because the point is actually an emission point, a high stress, high electric field. So that's why you get this field emission. So that's a lovely trick, isn't it? Anyway, what's it called? The transistor, and I think the voltage starts at 12 volts, and then 12 volts, 12 amps. But the transformer I use is only a 3 volt. It has a capacity of 3 volts, and the voltage suddenly rose to 20 volts. 20 volts. That's what it was, and therefore, and the output on the other car was 400. I think it was 400 watts, which is actually quite small because it's. I think that's what it is. It's actually not as much as it should be because. Oh yes, that's right. It's the coil I was feeding is 50 tons, and the output coil is 50,000 tons. So I should have got 1,000 times as much. But when I measured it was much less. So I don't know why. But that's probably because when I did measure the current, it was 12 amps, but the voltage dropped in the winding. But then it shot up again. So it's confusing. So I don't know why that happened. So 400 volts doesn't seem enough. But it should have been 1,200 volts. That's 1,000 times the 12 volts. And the 1,000 times 12 volts is 12,000 volts, which is not as much as that. So it's a bit confusing, so I'm not quite sure why that was. It's probably just impedance of the windings and so on. So I need to bring new winding in. So it's 12 volts and 12 amps, that's what it was. But I did ask for a short time, and if you run it for some time, it takes some time for the ionisation to occur, because the gas has to get excited, so maybe it heats up, I'm not sure, and that makes a conductor. So that's that virtual current starts first of all, and that heats it. So then it breaks down, and you get a current, and then you get the high voltage, and you get the output. I think that probably the output was only 400 watts because the gas itself was taking power. Once it started, the voltage went up. And somehow there was this explosion, which I was aware of as a flash, which I think was the voltage limiter of swap gap. And I didn't say, I mean, I was aware of it, and the neutron detector goes sideways, so it's really unusual. So it burned for a little while, but you see, air can take the component of the air that's reacting is the deuterium there, and I don't know how much there is, but it's a very small amount. There is some, and that's where it's coming from. So the power is actually very high. I did a recalculation of the power. I think that was illustrated in the picture. That I made some serious mistakes in the calculation, and serious mistakes in the calculation, the volume of the chamber, and there was a funny factor at the end. I don't know where it came. You know, the drugs I gave me confused me. I get all sorts of funny ideas. So these acid drugs are waking me up. And the calculation showed that it's a huge flare in air, and also in hydrogen, with just natural hydrogen with deuterium in it. And because the reaction with deuterium in hydrogen produces more deuterium, that will carry on for quite some time. But with air, it doesn't last long because the deuterium runs out. So you can't really use air because it runs out quickly. And over there you get deuterium depletion as a joke. But if we're seeing running on air, we just need a fan blowing the air so to refresh it. That's all you need. But that would stop it heating up, so it's actually very slowly. I don't know how slow, but very slow, so right far there to keep it refreshed. And you see, I think that's what Uncle Arthur was working on before they murdered him. But I thought he used low pressure. But I remember I had to pump it down, but it's not necessary. The pumping down makes it easier for it to break down. But if you've got the right voltage, it works atmospheric pressure, so it's not a problem. And I don't know why. I mean, the calculation says it's 50,000 tons, but I don't know how many there are. It's confusing because my calculation says there's 2 kilograms in the car, but when I put it in, it was 4 kilograms. So there's obviously something wrong with the calculation. That's quite possible. It's to do with the length of wire, and but the resistance is right. So the length of wire is right, but the calculation for the volume of the wire is wrong. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I make a lot of mistakes with my calculations. It's usually units is the thing I get problems with, you know, centimeters and meters and stuff. It's very complicated. Most of it quite easy, but I remember. Oh, wait a minute. I think I've got. It's for CC, and I think I've got the calculation wrong. Again, I've done the calculation wrong. I put it down as millimeters because the original calculation turns it into millimeters. And to reach millimeters to meters, so I go back to centimeters, go to multiply by 100. So I've done the calculation wrong. It makes a huge difference actually. I've got to go back and do that calculation again. Make a huge difference. I've made it 1,000 instead of 100, and that's going to make a difference of 10. It's a cube, isn't it? It's 3, so that's 10 times 10 times 10, which is 1,000. So it makes 1,000 times difference. It's still quite a lot, so it's not a problem. Yeah, a big difference to a big value is interesting. But and I seem to remember my friend who they put in the lunatic asylum as well was sometime before, and they said they scratched her brain out for some reason as well. It was actually somebody else said it, by mistake. But she's gone back to her hometown, and she works for a big aircraft company. And one of her projects is an electric airliner powered by coil supply. I mean, they'd ridiculed her at first, and she was in trouble. But But I've indicated that now, so it's possible to have a, and of course what you need to tell us the film has got on there, you know, and the engines, electric engines, they're not propellers or jet engines, they're electric impellers, and there's a design on my website that says how they work. But basically, it uses displacement. It's a coil of wire, coil of wire like that, two coils of wire, and a capacitor plate, and you get the electric field and the magnetic field are in phase, and because the displacement current acts on the magnetic field just like it does on the current, it pushes it out. So that's you can make fans like braidless fans like that. I think Dyson, that's wrong. But these fans are very noisy, and an electric fan like that would be much better. And so it's possible to make them. I think Dyson has made them, and he probably knows about it, but he's not stupid. But you know, maybe on my website, I don't know. But where he got it from, but it doesn't matter. But we'll coffee eater, no problem. But anyway, the design actually from Tesla, so all the same. And Tesla actually made anti-gravity like that. He was able to have a chair, a wooden chair, I think it was, and float about in this room, which is actually basically inside a transformer like that with a capacitor plate. And if I what frequency it was, I fairly had a low frequency. If you have too much frequency, it cooks you, you know. And low frequency you electric shocks. I think they complained about electric shocks they got. But the idea is to float about the room. That can be used as items of gravity in a spacecraft. And I think it does need some research, because if you've got metal bits on it, it's a problem. But you know, it get hot. But that was the idea. And so it's all right. It does affects the body, the whole body, so it pulls it down like gravity. Probably not equally, you know, because different tissues of the body would bone and flesh would act differently. So it is a problem, but it's well, and it can be used in an electrolytic pump to pump fluids, which are dielectrics, and that's petrol. And petrol is a problem. Petrol is a bit smart, but you know, it is a dielectric pump. Water, instead of using a pump, a big piston thing, use this electric pump. And it'll work with a conductor as well, because you know the induction induces a field the same way. It's a different current, but it's a different value, because the ratio is different, but it so does it. And in free space, because you get virtual photons in free space, it works in free space as well. I don't know how it works, but the virtual photons get pushed out. But the electric field polarizes the space, dielectric current and displacement current, and the electric field pushes it out. And it works in space as well. And when Tesla, which is recorded, went into one of these spacecraft he built, when he reached the atmosphere, he carried on going to space, and the thrust was not diminished. That's what he said. And I understood that now. That's what it was. It was an electric pump. And so he had all sorts of inventions. Nobody understood at the time, but he used AC, and basically AC was a new subject. But he must use very low frequencies, you know, because he had the generators he used were different from ours. I don't know how he used them, but he must use the engines which he invented. And it was actually a long time ago. I don't know what date it was, but it was beginning of the 20th century, and probably before the First World War, so they had these things. And he lived until 1940, was it, when they murdered him. Soon after they took his reign, and he died soon afterwards. I'm not quite sure what date he died, oh, well, my brain's gone. But he must have, he died around 1940, so he was about 80, so 80 years before. That brings you to 1860, was 1860, something like that. So, so the turn of the century he'd be 40, wouldn't he, by the turn of the century? So he would be well developed by then. So these things probably existed before the First World War, and of course at that time other people were a bit primitive, and because he's a man, I mean, he had no special instruction. The Serbs say he was living in the country in Serbia, which is very primitive. It was then as well as it still is now, and he saw the electric lightning and thought he could use lightning. A lot of his ideas were tapping lightning, but he developed an awful lot of things. And lightning's AC, because the strike isn't as straightforward as a capacitor. So it's not the same as it's not a straight strike. It's RF. If you measure it, you can get, if you look at a burst of radiation from a lightning strike, it's RF. And you get a wave. But oscilloscope, this is on sound storms. Yeah. So he knew what he was doing, and well, that's interesting. So that's important. So these things could have been done before the 20th century started, but because, well, it was actually, I think it was when he went to America, I think it was Morgan who financed him, and he was a big wealthy man, but he wouldn't finance something if it was free. Obviously, with this engine, this generator, which I discussed with Sir Everton at the time, not being there, he didn't like it because the electricity is free and he couldn't tax it. There's no way of taxing it, and couldn't charge. You can't charge for air. Well, deuterium, you can charge for deuterium, and it couldn't develop because air is not a suitable fuel. So that was the problem. I think the Tesla power on air, but it was limited. As I say, it produces some byproducts of nitric oxide. Not a very good idea. And ozone pressure as well. That's better. That's not very good for you. But it's a Tesla project, and I mean I don't have special knowledge, but I heard about it. And it became pretty obvious. And most Serbs know about it there. And in Serbia, he has a cult following. He's got quite a hero over there. And because he was murdered, I think because the Serbs were for short in Germany, and of course I think, as I say, Hitler used his engines, and they had space shuttles. They took to Mars, and well, the Americans took about 3 years to get there. It was a joke. When they sent the Apollo to the moon, I remember I had to avoid the German flying saucer base on the moon, and so I could see it in the photos. And so we had to put some distance away. It must have been a real joke for the Germans on the moon and the aliens, because they're not parts exactly, but they get on. And a bit of a joke, but I write stories about it. Because the Germans built these, because they had the power, the engines, and they had the space shuttle. They built tunnels in the river underneath into the bedrock, and the Germans are very good at that, and had these underground cities, not exactly a city but a building, and they're like that. They're quite a long time. They're on the moon for about 1920, you see, so they quite a long time to 1940 before they started, the British started blowing them up. But when that was found out, when I was working at this intercept station, 1969, when I went there, I was actually shot down in 1942, but also I'm German, so it was a joke. But I didn't know that at the time. But they actually wanted to go to the moon in this flying saucer we captured, or this control of, and poison gas in the place on the moon. And one arm came back in body bags, basically. So I don't know what happened. So it was unpleasant. And these German communications are still Krieg teleprinters, so they haven't, of course they can buy out computers as well, don't they? So they're not capable of making them themselves, of course. But it is a huge factory to build a computer, not simply the builders are Krieg teleprinters. And well, there is the materials on the moon to build these things, but the power, extract oxygen from rocks to breathe, and well, as I say, they can grow food on the moon too if you can have a place a place to do it, but you can't grow it on the surface because there's no water and no air. But if you wanted to grow food on the moon, you'd have to have what's called a chamber with air in it, or with pressure. It will be possible because it's really light and heat, and there's also not there's ice on the moon, but it's not in the north, not in the middle, and you can't do much with that. And you'd have to generate water from the rocks so you can extract it. If you get enough power, so it's not a problem. It's in the rocks. It's not present as water in the rocks. There's oxygen, and hydrogen is a pretty common thing. So no problem. I don't know what the hydrogen. I think there's much hydrogen in it actually. It's volatile. So there's not much there. So there's a water will be a problem. On Mars, it's more plentiful. There's frozen seas on Mars, apparently, and they could, but they only had a base on Mars. And as I say, it's no German construction of massive concrete things, so he would have done that on Mars. And there's the materials on Mars for producing concrete. But I mean, the Americans would have found the traces of it. I've had stories from people I've met in the American space program that say they've seen seen columns of tanks on Mars. A bit of a joke. What it's like being on Mars, a tank. You don't wear a sweatsuit. I know what they're doing. We're fighting each other, not the Martians. Wouldn't have thought so. But if there are any Martians, well, my mum said there were. But anyway, but that's the problem. So these stories they say about life or something, well, they say they're delusions, but I'm telling them stories, but not stories are not the same as delusions. All rely on a Martian or a place. So that's the problem. So it can be made, and it is possible, and that's the future of technology, which Hitler had. And if Britain had smashed it all up, we would have had it now, and it would have been very well developed. So the British are very foolish to do that. I mean, he may have been the enemy and so on, and he may have been a worker and so on, but there's no reason why his energies should not be used. And I know he did awful things, and that's because they had the same problem. They didn't believe him. The Jews have their own religion, and I think the Jews accept the existence of aliens. I think so. No. I mean, the Muslims did. I can't think they're going to war or anything like that. It also he wouldn't pay his reparations, I think, because he was making money. That's what he had, and the British knew, and they wanted more money to pay them because they blamed because they say it was actually the First World War was a war between two cousins, and there was over a toss of golf, and the British won. They charged the Germans for damage. Well, the Germans should watch or charge the British for the damage they did. But the victors tried the losers and took the thrust when so good for them, which is a dark thing to do. We don't really understand that at the time we didn't. And Hitler wanted his money from Hitler, and he refused to pay. That's what it was. He missed an instalment or something that he wouldn't pay. So he started fighting instead with dark. But I think the reason for the war was that Hitler had given to challenge King George for a duel, and it was because of that Christian belief. Because Hitler said aliens and King George says they weren't, and that's about it really. And so they had a war, and the idea of dueling as the winner of the duel is true because they think that God protects the innocent. So therefore, if what you're saying is true, you survive. Well, since Hitler was defeated, then that means that there's no life on Mars. But then they're very vicious about it, the British. I mean, I'm lying about Mars, but they nasty about it, the British, because their system depends on God giving the ruling classes the right to rule and the right to be in power, and so on and so on. And so on. It's all probably psychotic logic, basically. But Britain's occupied, and therefore the underclass become their servants. It's a vicious society, totally exploited to other people, you know. But it does produce stability and wealth, but it's not very nice. And in some places, the workers are quite wealthy, but they do vary. And the idea is to keep the workers poor, but the rich rich. And the Conservative idea is to make everyone rich and distribute it more, not more evenly, but more of it. Good cake is a effective. Good idea. Their idea is to extract the money from the rich and make it more even. Well, that doesn't. Well, if you would do the calculation, that doesn't increase the wealth of the poor very much. You know, in my opinion, the people who don't have the money should work and generate their own income. And they can. And I don't. In this country, you're not allowed to because you have to be a serf or a Norman. And that's the problem. And that goes back till the Norman invaders came. And they've been extorting this life ever since. So I'd like to see the end of that. I'd like to see a democracy where people can get over it. You can be king or whatever. I mean, one time the Saxon kings were elected, you know, so and it's to do with they had contests to find who's the best. And that's true in the Bible. If you read the Bible, Darius and others were selected because they were the best. Whatever they did, you know, jousting contests and he was a good judge. Darius was a good judge. Also Daniel was a good judge. So he was elected to be king. And that's how it was. So the Bible is saying now, the people are saying now, we have these elections for our leaders, but the Normans are not elected. They're forced upon us. And they have this lunatic idea with divine right to rule, and God made us. It's all rubbish. They're all brainwashed to believe it. And the workers are brainwashed to think the same. And they're vicious. The people who believe it are trained and they're beaten to believe it, and they're nasty. And personally, I don't like being here. I can't stay now. And I'd like to be repatriated to Germany. And it's not a good occupation. I don't know anybody in Germany, do I? But I'm afraid if I went there and I started speaking German, I probably do. We would just speak it. They would find out what happened, and there's to be another war. We don't want that to happen. I don't want another war. I'm not even trying to be out to leave the country. You know. They make the excuse that I was too old or too senile, which could be, but it won't make a difference when I'm allowed to. They don't like me, you know. These psychopaths in power, the vicious and evil people in power. And of course, it seems that the British Prime Minister has been the Queen has gained control of him. I can see from his attitude that he's controlled by the Queen. The Queen is a clever woman, that's what she does. They control people, mostly by verbal things, and they also pin her in the head and so on. But do drugs, so they could have drugged on brain damage Prime Minister quite easily. It took a minute. And the Queen is quite careful doing that because she has a divine right to rule. In fact, she's just an invader. She's very clever invader. We can't defeat them because they're too clever for us. And they got there, they attack us when we're children and maim us when we're children. So the chances of beating them are very slim. You'd have to be one of the royal family who knew what's going on to turn against them. And there is a member of the royal family who isn't actually related to the royal family who might do that. He probably won't because he's too good on his money and he wants to be king himself. But if he does become king, he'll be a Saxon king because he isn't related to the royal family at the moment. He's actually a Saxon. He's got a Saxon mother and a Saxon father. And he's the heir to the throne. Saxon, not next one. And he could make Britain a democracy if he wants to. It'd be nice if he did. And his mother did want him to. And his mother's probably dead now, it's an old lady, she's another. But we all die and we don't see the future. And we don't know the past. We can do very well fast when it comes to the future. So I know what comes after me, I won't know. There's no way. I can talk to the future. And I often dream about future man. And it could have happened, you know, when I was younger, I thought future man. But people didn't like it because they lived in the present. And they lacked the imagination, but children talk about the future, that's wrong. Well, people don't like it, they think it's abnormal, but it isn't. And of course, the children have the future is the child. The future is the child. So, children are our future, and they should know about this new technology that Tesla invented probably around 1890, so that in the 1890s, I think it was, and when he was about 30 when he was in his prime. And the people were still with money more than anything else because it didn't matter to them, the technology. But, I mean, they didn't understand automatic current a long time. Edison developed DC, and they think he did everything. Edison did everything. Of course, he didn't. It was Tesla. And Tesla invented all the alternating current we use now, all the transformers on the power lines, transmission lines, and all the things that we use now in day-to-day electricity. But he doesn't get the credit. I mean, some of it's done by Hamilton. He doesn't get the credit either. You know. Hamilton worked out things to do with telephone lines and power distribution. Edison had DC, and the original connections were done these cables, but they were just converted to the power stations. And they kept it quiet, the rest Tesla. Didn't like him very much because he was serving money. And of course, during the war, he supported Germany. Of course, he was dead by the time the war started. He was an old man, but they murdered him to finish him off because obviously old man gets senile anyway, but so he could really sound like he was talking nonsense. And he kept it, a stupid man kept his secrets now because he may have understood the power came from these engines. And a lot of his things he made, he understood in his own way what he did, but it's not in the way that we do now, using master equations. And master equations were used to demolish him, but if you do the vehicle equation properly, they do in fact support him. The point is this gas is a conductor. It's not a gas normally isn't a conductor, but once it gets hot, you can ionize it by electromagnetic radiation. You know, it gets it hot. It's electric current, just rotary current first gets 1,000 discharge, so it lights up, and then it reflects electromagnetic radiation. So then the radiation is shut out. So that's what my thing depends on. And it's a very simple thing. I worked it out, you know, this calculation I worked out over a period of time. I think I took a degree, and I realised I knew the technology that Tesla had and the way they thought about things, because it's very mystic the way they think about things. Not very scientific, at least not according to Western science. And the people in Serbia like the idea of a combination of Western and Eastern science, because that's where it is. And if you go to Serbia, quite nice people, but they think different. They've got different structure in the physics. And this lady I met over there is a friend of mine also. She's I think her name is Maria, but it's spelled differently. And it's spelled with a J, but it is Maria. The J is in some way, not Maria. I can't remember her second name, but she was quite a powerful figure in that country. She was in the military, and now she's at a great university studying an MSc in electrical power. And so she may produce these engines. I do send her my details, but she doesn't reply. I've lost her email address, but I know her LinkedIn address, and I can send her email, but not very often. I used to send her regular messages, but I lost her email address at the stage. I was fairly ordered to remove it because she was serving. But I can still contact her on LinkedIn. And it's just warm. And the next thing I know, she'll be married and have a family. I do know people in Serbia, and they think another man was going on about his heaters and so on. But I find out all he was doing was using an inductive load, and that gave the power meter a course reading. And that's how it was wrong. He got a message. And a lot of things he did, I've seen his diagrams and pictures, and I did have a correspondence with him, but that was removed. Anyway, they decided I shouldn't talk to him. They don't like talking to the enemy, you know, but it's not that you should do. I was trying to shut them out. But you've got their own ideas, and they stick to them. And most people don't know any physics at all. But if you go to Russia, if you talk to Russians, they have similar ideas themselves, you know, science. And it's not that anything works at all, but they do things differently. And I think you read the chemistry books. I've got a chemistry book, I did a Russian chemistry book, I can't tell it now, but it's very similar to the Western ones, Russian, but they have different theories, and different structures, and different synthesis of it, different worldview, and and that goes back because the East and West is separate, and they're Eastern Orthodox, the Church, and they have a different view of Jesus to Westerners. So you go to Russia, you're an alien man. I spent some time in Russia, and I was about 13 again, and so I got the message, and I was educated over there, and a lot of it was in the British at the same time don't have that education. They might have it in public schools, but not in the ordinary schools. British education is better than other places, and they teach people according to their need to know. And so if you're a miner, you're taught how to mine. So there's no, but we need that's most with children. You need to give them a general education, because you don't have a future. Down here, it's all light engineering and trades and things. That's what I was taught that. And that's where it is around here. That's my speciality. I accept that because that's where the jobs are. And geology is taught to some people. So you don't have much choice. Well, you don't have. When you're young, you don't know, so you need to be led. But sometimes you can acquire knowledge. You can read books. You can take alchemistry courses and acquire knowledge. It takes a long time. It's still to get common knowledge. It takes 25 years or 30 years, and most people finish their careers from them. So they do it. Western education is a broad general education, and the idea of Western civilization is to understand other people's points of view and get knowledge from other cultures, which you absorb, and you talk about, and you learn about. And the people who live in our countries, which of course I'm an island nation, I don't travel very much. I haven't done so. I was traveling one time, I lived in Europe one time. But if you go to places which I never been to, I have decided where I've been there. But the culture there is different, and they had science, and science, the models they had were different mental models, but they did was the same. So actually, if you think about that, the theory is not important. There is a word or a mental image. It's not what you do, it's what you do that counts. So it's the acts you do. And you know for experience that certain combinations of actions will use certain results. You learn that. And the actual theories is a new thing which enables you to do things that you couldn't have done without. And it's interesting. It's metaphysics, that is actually where you physics, where you try to work out the scheme of things, And we still talk about electrons. We can't view them directly. You can't see them. You can say they are there, but you can't see them. A lot of things are like that. Chemical reactions can't be seen, but they do occur. You can guess the actual formulas. I mean, for atoms and things, but you accept it if you taught it. But the idea goes back to the Greeks, indivisible, atoms means indivisible. And my grandfather used to go about not be able to split the atom in descriptions. I would make it eventually. I never split the atom. And graph like that. But that's a different. So the scientists, it's what the scientists do, trickles down to us. And I did get a qualification in science. But briefly, I did work at the science laboratory, and big deal. But it's not glamorous. It's boring. I think my boss told me I should change the counters every morning on the roof, sort of stuff. And when I was studying out, I didn't do the study, I was a technical assistant, and you count the hours and put them back out again. So that was routine. To get the statistics is routine. I think the lady I was with me to a degree. But that's how it was. And if you're in a situation like that, you get on a certain field. And it's a different sort of work. It's abstract work, because it's mathematics and stuff. And I was told that was a job for a junior role. What they did to, I don't know, but I couldn't find my way where I couldn't find my way. That's happened several times. Several times I've had jobs. A doctor has done something to me, and I forget where I work. I've got some idea. I work somewhere, I do this right away. I forget where I work. It's a dark thing to do. So every time the doctor treats me, I lose my job. I don't know why they do that, you know. That's sensible. It's a mad thing to do. They say they want to increase production and so on, make people servants, but what they do is to disable them. And this man I call Brian is a different example. He's drugged, I think it's an answer thing, it's on drug. And obviously it makes him go to sleep, actually he's unconscious. Well, he's sort of like an eating or so on, but he doesn't answer the phone, doesn't do anything. And all sorts of things happen. I think he told me he had a girlfriend, so on. But they do like to put people together for relationships, which is a good idea. But they drug them so much they can't do it. They start these drugs are daft, and of course brain surgery is even worse. And the idea that you can do without your brain is not right. And they know it is. It's just making people servile. The idea of robots. The mechanical robot is possible, but human beings are damaged with drugs like that. They're actually called robots, or zombies, and it's awful, really. It's not the movement there's no reason for it, no sense of trouble. They don't like intelligent working tasks because they think these in Britain all the professionals are from the upper classes, the aristocrats. And they invade us and they move the upper fight for us. And they're a nasty lot. And again, if you read in my lineage, I don't know who I am basically, but they don't like me. Was a social of Hitler. When he dared to oppose the Normans, you see. The Normans are malignant psychopaths, they're lunatics, they're bullies. Bullies clever bullies give a damn anybody else. So I'd like to see them into the Norman Empire, get rid of it. And Normans, some Normans are capable of learning to be civilized, some are not. They're not capable, they have a genetic defect that makes them not really human. A human being has some characteristics, including the recognition other people are human and that they should be cared for. That's right, I think they don't do. There's no one among thieves, they steal from each other. And Normans are the same, they're criminals. That's all it's true. And so from the Queen downwards, they're all criminals. They rule by force, they get rid of force, rule by force, and they steal from the working classes. And I've had lots of money stolen, and they seem to be quite low level Normans, they're much richer than me, but they steal from me. But they don't see why I have money, it's awful. Why should you should work for us, that's what democracy means. You work for us for money, it's absolutely awful. Anybody who tries to run a business, I'm not doing that because they try and start a business, or do anything of their own free will. That's insurrection. It's a slave state, ground prison. I should probably be, now I've sold the house, I should probably be putting it somewhere where it's pleasant, but I should be controlled. So everybody in Britain who is controlled, it's not nice, not a nice place. And I will say, I can't predict the future, but I don't know, and a lot of the people are traitors to their class they're in, and they work for the Normans, and they benefit from it. But because they're committing crimes, nasty, and of course, Christians and so on, but they're not really making money. All churches do make money, It's all businesses, they'll make money. They're all run by Normans. They embarrass people, they girls, they murder people, starve people, all sorts of things. Nothing to do with religion at all. If Jesus came back, they wonder what was going on. you feel the same about people in power now as he did then. And well, they probably kill him because they did before. They're the people who killed Jesus, basically. They think they follow him, but you know, some people. It depends on your rank. And the black people, the niggers from Palma, they offered something about what it is. Well, it's not true. They were probably told they do well if they work for it all and do this murder they want them to do. They want to like the population. They don't need them anymore. Well, once we're down in numbers, they'll attack the black people as well. Well, I think they can. I'll try. If the black people want to take over, which is not a bad idea, they want to attack the Normans, not the working class. The working class probably support them. They're so very much they don't, but they would do. You know, so, that's right. And if you look at the Labour Party, normally these political parties, whenever they start off, are taken over by Normans. Who are Mr. Miliband is probably connected to the Normans and so on. And Mr. Blair was a Royal supporter, and he may have been a Norman himself. I think a lot of the Labour Party elites are actually Normans. And it's all lineage, you know, that's all they think about lineage. And the Green Party, I know there's a Royal there trying to take over, and I think he's left now, but no one's asked him to take over. They just take over. They take over everything. Miserable sorts. They think it's a good idea, but basically they're criminals. It's not very nice. If somebody has an idea, take it over and use his idea to make money. Make money. You know, instead, make money instead. That's the. I think this judge idea, who's dealing with something like that. You go around and bang his sword on his head and say, make money instead. You know, dancing. That way. Well, he was clever man. He was to do chemistry, but he was vicious, you know, vicious, nasty at work. And I agreed to work for him. I was quite happy at first. I found what a lunatic he was. He was actually asking me the same, giving me the idea he wanted lessons. So we knew already. I didn't know that, and he pretended he was ignorant because he wasn't. But he was training me, and. So I gave up in the end. He seems to have no memory. In fact, he was just trying to give us the same thing. So set patterns. Their system is just set patterns, training, and routine. They've got no idea about originality, reason, thought, nothing. And because you get old, you can't do it anyway. The poisons they give you, stop doing it. Brain surgery, stop. It's absolutely awful. Their eyes destroy the intelligence, the analytical mind, destroy it and make people habitual slaves. They do the same thing every day, and no, and that's how they are. And I've been prisoner in this house for 52 years. I came, of course, to go out, and when I was young, when I didn't realise the first, but I found out what it was. Because when I was shot down, I was brainwashed to think I was a child, and that's how I went. I don't know whether I actually became a child or not, but basically it's clever. I'm nasty lot. They're probably delusional about their about everything really. I can't remember. But know thy place, well, basically you've all got a rank, and they think that's alright. They think that's alright, but nobody gets on. They're all in ranks, and it's not very nice. And that's their idea of civilization. Of course, by the time you realise they talk to them about it, and children think they're going to get somewhere, they don't get anywhere. You know, if you're a worker, you don't get anywhere. It depends on your class. You know. When I was in hospital, they said they were checking my lineage, and when they found out I was actually, according to my birth cert, Major Severus' son and the result son, grandson of this man, they knew I was an aristocrat, but if my military service, that was actually a German and hadn't been Britain at all. Now, under their laws, if you're a foreigner, your rank, which depends what you were in that country. Now, if I was Hitler's son, then I was quite high rank because he was in Germany, basically, and that's interesting. That makes you an aristocrat, son of Prime Minister, Chancellor. But the Chancellor we get anyway now, at 91, is actually quite slim. My mother started interested in the Queen when she was 90. I'm not interested in doing that. The Queen is probably quite a nice person, actually. She's quite a wise woman, but dangerous, and she believes she's in touch with God, and God made her to rule the whole planet, basically, the whole universe, which is nonsense. But, it's an island nation with the whole island of Britain. It's full of delusional people, mad place. We talk to the police, it's like talking to a dialect, They think differently. When they talk to you, they think, "Oh, what's he talking about? It's bad," And I told them yesterday, it's the Christians who are doing all the damage. They should be arrested, not the Muslims. Well, the Muslims are being attacked by the Muslim Christians, so it is. The Muslims try to fight back, and of course they send more troops in, originally. But it's the Muslims, the Christians, of course, are the trouble. The Christians want to wipe out the Muslims altogether. And they think the Muslims worship the moon. They don't. They got a picture of the moon on the things. Nothing to do with worship of the moon. They're commemorating the point of an Earth crossing asteroid faster in front of the moon. That's what it commemorates. And if you go to the Muslim, you'll find out. And basically, the Christians are fighting for the Pope, and they think the Pope is right. They're delusional. The Pope is just a man. And he's not in touch with God. There isn't one. He's just a man. He's ambitious. He's out for himself. And if you start believing his religion as dangerous to him, apart from physical danger, he's actually losing income. That's all it is. It's just money. All churches do is make money. Muslims have to have money. So, of course, they're very expensive. I was told the most download is several £1 million worth, which it is. And they're vicious and evil people, Christians. And they don't think so. They think they're all right, but they're criminals. Terrible. They go around killing people. And as far as they're concerned, you've got to believe their linear religion. But that's because the priest makes money out of it, and because the system in this country is based on Christian belief, because that's where they get their money from. Their income depends on it. That's all it is too. It's for income. And especially, I was so entrenched that you can't do anything about it. Apart from killing all the people who believe it, it is pretty well what they're doing. That's what ISIS is doing. And they want us to have a new order. But I don't know, well, it's difficult to read to know what to do with lunatics. And obviously killing them is probably not the right thing to do. And because whatever you can't do, but tranquilize you can't do, ECT, they all use all these things to brainwash people. And I've been subjected to all of them. That's why. When you give subjective shocks, you can forget things. And I'm afraid of it. And if you're doing a degree, you forget it. So the idea is, if you get everything, you do what you always have done. That's nonsense. What is one you have done? I've always done studying things. I've always played around with wires and basically, I don't know, for instance, and to do with hydraulics and things like that. And they still liked it. Sometimes it was adopted by companies using jet engines and things. But the doctors, what's he talking about? Get rid of it, he's mad. So I thought eventually, because I was in the army, and I had the consent, I shot these doctors who were delusional. Because I had to, because they were dangerous, they were bad. And they said, where did you get that uniform? Is it a toy gun? You can't do it too late. So that's how I went now. Well, I can't do that now. But they got me where they want me. I don't know why. They have this false charge against me, which means they can get me. It was clever. It was done by a conspiracy of men, and they took it up because I was drugged. It was difficult to work it out. That's how clever they are. Night and day, the worst criminals I've ever met. I think they seem to be fighting for a hard cause. They think the thing they're fighting for is worth it, worth the crimes they commit, But so what they're fighting for is the Queen ruling the world, and most people in the world do not want that. And so they're talking about this the crimes of ISIS, and they are crimes, but I don't support them. But And the British are the same. See, that's the problem. And I think ISIS won't last all that long, I don't know. But it's a worldwide, it'll become a worldwide movement because it's the idea is to establish Islam, which is the truth. And I know that. And for the Christians, then the Christians are the truth. Well, they know it. They think they know it. But nothing about it. And when I'm an old man now, when they poisoned me, this hair colour went white, and then a lot of it fell out. Well, I think I was losing weight, I was losing hair anyway. But I wasn't an old man. But, I was 84 when I went into hospital, and I was in the hospital full of teenagers because that's what I looked like. I looked like 16, and well, now I've got, well, the drugs are easily, but and probably that was the idea, but it's not nice to be aged. They think they're treating me, but they're actually poisoning me. And so and I was told they'll shrink your brain. That's the idea. Wonderful. Well, that makes you stupid. See, they don't realise that. Shrinking the brain makes you stupid. You know, man the wise. If you shrink the brain, you become man the fool, man the idiot. So, not good. So you see, the Normans have quite good shaped heads, and they have good round brains, and they don't like anybody else anymore because they're dangerous. Man with big brain dangerous. It's really common. Well, he's got one, so he's dangerous. So, but normal men with normal minds are actually quite kind and care about people. They're not dangerous. But that's difficult to put across to other people, you know, because when your brain is damaged, you just grab things, and they think that's normal. You know, they fight each other. They think that's normal, and you know, you have these parties in posh people's houses, where they have these little cakes on the table with drinks and things, and then what's called a bun fight, where you all go and grab your cake. It's usually a pile up, but not always bad stuff. And you know, it's so in France you have these criminals who have a gun, and then there were lots with Marocs and guns. But and when people go down the street, they steal their money. They say, if you want to come down the street, you've got to give me 100 euro. And they do very, very depending on the wealthy individual. So they get the same power. And that's called streets of the Dukes of the Street, you know. And the British really doesn't like that. The same idea. They've taken over Britain, so if you come here, you have to pay me. And it's extortion. You know. And I don't like it. I'm not used to it in Russia. Land wasn't the time I was there, wasn't owned by anybody. They dispossessed the pigs, and so if you had a patch of land, it was yours. Worse than the pheasants. Well, it was owned by a communist party, basically. But well, it was different. But communism did seem to work very well, and there was no money. Where I was no money. You didn't have money. You didn't know what it was, and if you had a rule, you stuck it on the wall. Pinned up on the wall, what was it used? Wallpaper, and the chest if it was similar. But it was frozen and had things, you know. They say, as Russians say, you have things. Come over there, you have things. She can't afford them, they'll give it to you. He'd had that experience. And because she was dispossessed when she came over here, and she was, in her own country, she was communist official, like an house to go over here. She had a coat and tails, and a little round tail with a peak, you know. And a trouser suit. She was very smart. She was in charge. She was the manager. And in this country, she's in her own country, because the communist system is been damaged, it's still there, but it's been damaged. The men still wear the funny hats they do. I've not seen the coat and tails, but that's how it is. And she was a communist official, as a Romanian as well. She was in Romania, and so that was how it worked. And it was very successful. It was well organised, food distribution, but you know they because they couldn't communicate with the rest of the trade, they lost their edge, and so things didn't work very well, especially domestic things. And that applied to military television, military stuff. It didn't work that well because they didn't understand enough soundtrack system, graphics and so on. But they did develop it because we're free enterprise generates wealth and new things, and that's what we're free enterprise. They had limited free enterprise in Russia. They had inventors and things over there. But because their philosophy was different from ours, they couldn't invent things. Couldn't invent things that worked. You know. And you have these. If you go to the exhibition of Russian technology, stands with things that do fortune telling and tell you how healthy you are, you know. And all they do is measure convection comes from your body, which you make a rose. So they have things like that. And they have perpetual motion machines. I was trying to sell those, you know, which don't obey any of the laws of thermodynamics. I think it's usually the third law that the comes from. And you go to the exhibition store, they sell. They have a generator that generates electricity that person generates that sort of stuff. I can talk about. And they say the same thing about my machine. They said I was burning water, separating water and burning it back again, which is not what I was doing. The hydrogen, which I thought I was producing, you know, just recycling first, but it's burned as a nuclear fuel. It's only a terrible burn. It's over there. I finally built one, and I knew what Tesla did. At least I think I know reconstructed it. And it was in the found when I was young. I didn't know that. The British don't like it. It's possible they don't understand it. Look, the steam engine, it took 200 years for a steam engine to accept it, you know. And probably 100 years for the car to be accepted. Well, this thing is even worse. It goes back to 1890 and it's still not accepted. In 1990 it was delivered. People were afraid of it probably, but when it goes off you get this thump, and that's all. And you can feel it, you know. I don't want to see that's what hits you, but it's probably an automatic pulse, possibly a neutron pulse as well. And so it's a bit dangerous. But since I'm dying, I want to pass it on to somebody who can develop it. And as I say, I found Brian, but they poisoned him. You know. They say Fermi's delusions about it like Tesla. Well, they probably don't realise that what they say is delusional. It's nonsense. It really is. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. They say, you're taking on drugs. Of course I'm not. Taking out. If I had that much substance, I wouldn't talk. And they don't want me to. You know, they don't want me to talk because their job is to poison me. And actually, that's what they're doing. They're poisoning me. And the drugs will eventually kill me if I take a lot. Die anyway. They don't give a damn. And I mean, they're mostly black people, but they're not even. They're not because they're black. It's just like recruiting black people to do their dirty work for them. But they think they're getting education. In fact, they're being taught nonsense. That's a problem. They're educated by liars. You know, and the people who educate them are top people. They're educated, you know, but they taught. Some is just true, and some people dedicate their lives to educating people. But they won't take it from me. They want to take it from somebody who lies to them. And Richardson was a typical liar. When he tells fairy stories, that's his job. The priest's job is to tell fairy stories. You know, make people happy, get them to work, and get the money. Because tomorrow we die. You know, the priests have a good time. They're not dour and boring. Have sex parties and all sorts of things. It's dreadful. So they wanted me to go to a church function, and I found out afterwards they wanted to kill me. But I decided not to go. The idea was to meet the bishop. Well, but he must have done my brain in. You know, it's very dangerous to see a bishop. They might sit with glorious robes on, but they're very dangerous. Very dangerous. They seem to think that their lives are revolved around the bishop, you know, and the rest of us are the church. But it's meaningless. fellow bishop said, you never get anywhere with them. It's always the same. And, well, you might get a better job, so. But I mean, the idea of a job is you learn it from somebody else. So they don't understand freedom of thought, which is, most people can do it. They have the ability. And innovation is something that people can do. Most people can. You saw on television these marvelous innovations. They work of many, many, many men. Just one. And one thing forgets are. I mean, one time I was working on the screens of what now uses mobile phones, and I remember I couldn't remember how to do it. I think I was trying to do my sound at one time. And then eventually I wasn't doing it, but I think they did it by resistance. I don't know how they do it. To get the location of the finger on a touch screen is difficult. I did it by sound, and give the coordinates. And so it makes a much ping. But I need to find out from the echo where it is all the time. I can't remember, but that's one of them. I know one, I'm told it's some resistance now. I don't know how it's done. But it's possible. You know, a gradient across it and get the potential, something like that. And same problem as the tomograph, you know. I worked on that on some bit of cell phone complicated bit of mathematics to work it out. And I did the first one was has to be done individually for each case. It was algebra to be done individually. And it was cells that I worked out a way of doing it for a number of cells, then they threw me out. So that's what it is. Chris is useful and reasons for something else. They don't pay. So I know if I pay you, they pay me, I'll go. And I said, if you pay me, I'll go and do something else. So I don't want to work here. So they don't pay me. When they pay me, they told me to do photography. They trained me to do photography. That's all right. So I said, do you want to work as a photographer? You know. I said, well, I don't know. So I was actually no good at it. I was no experience. I did try, but it was because it was too old. It was so difficult. I normally did. I couldn't do it. That's how it is. You can't do it. It was difficult because they all had to go manually with exposure, better exposure, setting the camera, difficult job. These days they use digital cameras all done fine. Much better. But commercial photography is not supposed to do that. And, because they use high resolution, I think. But when you get experience, because I was trying to establish myself in a job basically, and I well, you don't know what to do there. And as I say, you always learn other people that jumping like this as well. With the tester engine, which I thought, I don't know if it's calling that. I've got a nuclear engine or a transfuser, somebody else. It's I don't like it, but they don't know where power's coming from. I think the problem with Arthur got, as you know where the power came from. It was a long time afterwards I thought it might be nuclear fusion. I designed this one based on this nuclear fusion, because I can't tell. I've had this neutron detector in that to see if it would in fact do anything. I seem to have proved it, but because I don't think I took a record of it because I know it doesn't work. And so the neutron detector works, but to make it try it again, I only told a new winding on a 50-turn winding of 2mm wire, because it'll take the current. The 1mm wire doesn't take 12 amps, it fuse. And of course, you've got to have a more pokey transformer, but it's much easier to start it up with a transformer. But the idea is to start it, that's all right. So you need a 50 hertz source to start it. But if you, it's all very complicated, and I would like to be helped. I would take somebody to work with. Brian was excellent for that job. It's very difficult to get Brian, because he's actually worked, and well, the lunatic doctors poisoning him and trying to get him to gardening or cleaning or something, which he can't do, which is not a good job, not suitable for him, because he's well qualified and he's skilled. And they don't know that because they don't know anything. They know nothing about the skills he has. I'm not criticising black people, but people working, if people who work in South Africa are mostly black. And of course, it's a job for them, and they like exploiting the white people, don't they? Like keeping white people in prison, all sorts of things. And they employed black people to murder white people because that's what they wanted to do. So they actually employed black people to murder the working class, which is nonsense. The black people should support the working class and try to fight the aristocracy. They won't do that because they've been made an offer. It's not true. No one's like that. They make offers, they turn against you and kill you. You read the history. And when the Saxons built the Norman castles, or the Saxon traders built them, they hang them all. Didn't pay them, they hang them. That's what the Normans would do to the black people. Because for surviving, white people are quite pleased. But they just have that's their methods. And it goes, it's been maybe ruled the world by these vicious residents for a long time. And nasty, very vicious and evil people. You can never trust them, never make agreement with them. It's all rubbish, you can't do that. And you don't have to know something. They're above the law, they say, above all laws. So let's remove the Normans forever, democracy, like America.